Can Zhen Huan, blessed with both beauty and talent, truly outshine all in the imperial harem and enjoy everlasting favor? As I stepped into the outer garden of Fengyi Palace, a cool breeze brushed against my face, reminding me that early autumn had arrived. The courtyard, once full of prized and vibrant flowers, now lay bare. The lush green leaves had subtly taken on a thin veil of golden mist, tinting the fallen petals in clear streams with a touch of desolate gold. Just a few months ago, the garden was ablaze with peonies and Chinese herbaceous peonies in full bloom, a scene of vibrant life where I learned of the first child I was to have. In just a few short months, those who once competed in beauty like the flowers have faded, unbeknownst to many. Suddenly, I heard someone calling from behind, "Noble consort, please wait." Turning around, I saw Qin Fengyi approaching with delicate, seemingly elegant steps. I had heard that recently, in an effort to win Xianling's affection, she had specially learned this walking style, said to be favored by the virtuous ladies of the pre-Qin era, likened to a gentle willow swaying in the breeze. Unfortunately for her, Xianling's attention and amusement were all for Lingrong, and her efforts earned nothing more than a passing smile. Indeed, Qin Fengyi, with her slightly robust frame, wasn't quite suited for such a delicate gait, and her imitation more closely resembled an awkward attempt to mimic grace. I mused that perhaps Lingrong, with her grace and demeanor, would be more suited to such a walking style and would undoubtedly look more beautiful doing it. I wasn't particularly close to Qin Fengyi. Our interactions were usually limited to a nod of acknowledgement. Her warm greeting today took me by surprise. I stopped and waited for her to catch up. She gave me a half curtsy and said, "Good day, Sister Noble Consort." Not wishing to quibble over formalities, I simply asked, "Is there something you need, Sister Qin?" She smiled, pausing before saying, "You look much improved, sister. It seems in Junior Consort's favor has brought you joy as well. After all, sisters should lift each other up, shouldn't they?" I felt a surge of annoyance, unwilling to engage in further conversation with her, and turned to leave, saying, "I must pay my respects to the Empress Dowager, so I'll be on my way." But she persisted. "Such a busy person you are, noble consort. Even if you can't see the Emperor, visiting the Empress Dowager is commendable. Truly filial." I could never compare. Her sarcasm infuriated me. Previously, we had kept to our own lanes, but now she was brazenly disrespectful, disregarding my higher status. This was surely because she saw Xianling's diminished attention toward me, and equated my loss with a fall from favor. I had been envied for my glory days, and now she saw an opportunity to belittle me. I struggled to contain my anger and continued walking. Her words were sharp and coquettish, her voice high and piercing, like a sharp needle constantly pricking at my heart, gentle yet fast and cruel. She grabbed my sleeve and said, "Everyone knows you and in Junior Consort are close. You've gone to great lengths to have the Empress arrange for her to be close to the Emperor. You're quite the strategist." She covered her mouth with a handkerchief to laugh. "But it's all for the best. If she has a child in the future, it's as good as yours, isn't it? Why worry about not keeping what you have now?" I could no longer bear it. I could endure her jibes about anything else but not about my child. That was a deep wound in my heart, not something she could casually malign. I pushed her hand away forcefully, speaking coldly. "Qin Fengyi, in front of me, you should address yourself as this concubine and call me your highness. Having been in the palace for so long, do I need to teach you every single rule, or have you simply become senile?" Her face turned livid almost instantly upon hearing the word "old" from me. But I didn't give her the chance to retort, gripping her arm and saying with a slight smile, "Why bother learning the walk of pre-Qin ladies, Fengyi? It's an ancient art. How could you master it? Instead, you should ponder why the Emperor has not favored you at all in over a month. But now that Lingrong is here, if you sincerely ask her for guidance, I'm sure she wouldn't be stingy with her advice. You could learn a lot from her." My barrage of words left her speechless, her face alternating between red and white in a most unflattering manner. Perhaps the realization that my rank was still above hers restrained her from responding. After a moment, her expression shifted to one of angry humiliation, as if she was about to lash out at me, but a very clear voice intervened from behind, saying, "Is Sister Qin out of her mind? Even daring to confront noble consort? You know the Empress would not be pleased to hear of this." Qin Fangyi, wary of both her and the Empress, had no choice but to leave in a huff. Lingrong took my hand and said, "Sister, I'm sorry for the trouble I've caused you by arriving late." I subtly withdrew my hand, replying, "It's nothing. I shouldn't have stooped to her level." I offered a faint smile. "It used to be me clearing the way for you, and now the roles are reversed." Lingrong's eyes reddened slightly as she said in a pitiful tone, "Sister, are you blaming me, wanting to distance yourself from me?" I replied, "Not at all, don't be oversensitive." Tears welled up in Lingrong's eyes as she said, "Are you upset that I didn't inform you in advance? It all happened so suddenly, and the Empress ordered it to be a surprise for His Majesty, forbidding any leaks. How could I, of such lowly status, dare to disobey? Besides, I thought that if I could win the Emperor's favor, I could also help you so you wouldn't have to work so hard." I sighed. "Lingrong, you should have told me about your recovery. You worried me, and it also took me by surprise." Lingrong gave a mournful smile like a small bird exposed to the storm. "Sister, you know we sometimes have no choice. As for me, I'm but a reed in the wind. Everything depends on my voice, for better or worse." I couldn't bear to say more or question her further. Her self-deprecation made it difficult for me to persist. She was at the mercy of her voice, but what about me? Was my entire existence defined by the pursuit of offspring and my sorrows? I understood, and couldn't bear to blame her further. In the harem, everyone has their own compelling reasons. So I forced a smile to comfort her. "I was upset by Qin Fangyi, and now I've made you sad. What would it look like if we both kept crying? Let's not become a laughingstock." And with that, Lingrong stopped her tears. Upon my visit to the Empress Dowager's palace to pay respects, she, showing concern for me, asked someone to prepare a seat for me to sit and talk in front of her bed. The Empress Dowager expressed sadness upon mentioning my miscarriage, and advised me to take good care of my health. The Empress Dowager, with a hand on her chest, lamented, "Sherlan seemed quite capable and had a good appearance. It's just that her temper was a bit arrogant, which is understandable for someone from a noble family. But now it seems she's become quite ruthless." She added, "I'm old now, lacking the energy I once had. I've left all matters to be managed by the Empress, thinking it would be good training for her. If I were younger, I wouldn't tolerate such a person in the palace. It's the Empress's negligence that has led to these issues." Hearing the Empress Dowager criticize the Empress, I couldn't help but smile and said, "The affairs of the palace are complex and numerous. It's understandable that Her Majesty the Empress can't attend to them all. I hope the Empress Dowager won't blame her." The Empress Dowager's health didn't seem very good. Her hair, half white, spread long across the pillow, and her complexion was pale, making her appear more sallow against the white bedclothes. Her neck showed several blue veins. Beauty fades so quickly with age. Although the Empress Dowager wasn't as stunning as Consort Shu in her youth, she was still a beauty. Indeed, aging spares no woman. No matter how beautiful, age takes its toll. But in the palace, living to old age in peace and prosperity is the rarest blessing. Many beauties don't get to age before they pass away early. Noticing me zoning out, the Empress Dowager, unaware of my thoughts and assuming I was tired, dismissed me. Seeing her also looking weary, I took my leave. Just as I reached the Huihua gate, I realized the handkerchief tied to my golden bracelet was missing. It was just a piece of fabric, but it was embroidered for me by Lu Zhu on my birthday, making it more special than usual. Recalling I had used it before entering the Empress Dowager's chamber, I must have left it at the entrance. Opting to retrieve it without bothering Huan, I decided to go back alone. The Empress Dowager preferred quiet due to her illness, with only Sister Sun accompanying her. No one was guarding outside the chamber, only at the palace gates. Not wanting to disturb anyone, I quietly made my way back. It was early autumn, and a gentle breeze was blowing, making it quite pleasant. Tall osmanthus trees filled with fragrant blossoms surrounded the Empress Dowager's chamber windows, effectively hiding my approach. As I neared, I unexpectedly overheard Sister Sun's calm voice inside. "Let me help the Empress Dowager sit up to take her medicine." This was followed by the sound of a bowl and spoon clinking. After the Empress Dowager took her medicine, Sister Sun hesitantly mentioned, "The Empress Dowager seemed restless last night. I heard you calling out for the Regent Prince." I was startled, quickly covering my mouth. Whether it was my shock settling or a moment of silence inside, I heard the Empress Dowager sternly say, "That traitor deserved his fate. I've forgotten all about it. You mustn't mention it again." Sister Sun complied, and the Empress Dowager sighed deeply, a sound full of lingering sorrow. Sister Sun tried to comfort her. It's truly tragic for Consort Guan to lose her child so suddenly, and the Emperor doesn't seem to care much for her anymore. It's heartbreaking to see. I intended to leave, but upon hearing them mention me, I couldn't help but listen. The Empress Dowager expressed, "I can't bear to have her always in my sight," her voice fading. "I've been dreaming of Aro lately. While not exactly alike, their temperaments remind me of each other, which only adds to my sorrow." Their voices lowered to whispers, and soon there was silence. Not daring to stay longer and no longer concerned about the handkerchief, I quickly left the area, ensuring no one saw me as I hurried away. Leaning against the window in my chamber, lost in thought, I couldn't help but notice the moon, clear and round like a white jade plate, illuminating the courtyard with its serene glow. My thoughts remained on the day's events. Lingrong did seem pitiable, yet her promise to help me felt empty. Naturally, I wouldn't want to be close to Xianling at this time, but what about Mei Zhuang? I had never heard of her offering any support. Perhaps she had her reasons, being a new favorite still securing her place. The secret I stumbled upon regarding the Empress Dowager was startling. Years ago, when the Regent Prince held power, rumors swirled about an affair between him and the Empress Dowager. Only after she executed him, reclaiming power with decisive action against his followers, did those rumors dispel. The Empress Dowager was hailed as a heroine, her actions celebrated above those of men. Today's revelation suggested a complex relationship between her and the Regent Prince. And Aro, who was she to evoke such tenderness and longing from the Empress Dowager? The name resembled that of the late pure Yuan Empress. Perhaps the Empress Dowager affectionately referred to her as Aro in private, a sign of closeness and fondness. In her illness, it's natural for her to reminisce about the past and those she's lost. Payer, noticing my solitude by the window, gently interrupted, "Your Highness, look at the moon. Isn't it beautiful?" She probably thought I was mourning my child again and was trying to distract me from my sorrow. I appreciated their concern. The moonlight, filtering through the intricately carved red lacquer window, laid a soft glow on the desk. The music from Mingxi residence, where the kingdom's finest musicians and singers gathered, wafted over the palace walls with the gentle breeze. I thought to myself, how can one expect to block such intangible music with mere physical barriers? Lingrong's voice, in particular, could not be contained by a door. The music from Mingxi residence was like a fine, bright silk thread, quietly stretching out. It wove through Yong Alley, Shanglin Garden, the Taipool Islands, and every consort's pavilion, penetrating hearts with its melody. I gazed out the window, pondering how many curses, tears, grievances, and sleepless nights were intertwined with such beautiful sounds. I spread out a sheet of Chengxin Hall paper and dipped my brush in thick ink, longing for a moment of tranquility to write. My heart was restless, and I yearned for the calm, the stillness of a dead pool. The Empress Dowager believed that writing could soothe the mind. The Empress also practiced calligraphy daily for peace of mind. I wanted to write to still my thoughts, if only for a while. With my brush, I inscribed Su Hui's Lament of the Long Gate. Once cherished at the Palace of Cypress Beams, now replaced in the Hall of Luminous Sunday, departing the royal carriage with dignity, tears wetting my round fan in silence. Overnight, dance and song are esteemed, while my past of poetry and learning is scorned. Favors have waned indeed, like spilt water that can't be gathered again. The favors have waned indeed, like spilt water that can't be gathered again. May seem melodramatic to some, but what truly resonates with me is, overnight, dance and song are esteemed, while my past of poetry and learning is scorned. There was a time when Xianling and I sat beneath this western window, sharing a candle, discussing poetry and history. A time when he transcribed plum blossom poems for me in this hall, while I silently tailored a garment for him. A time when I read to him the plea of Zheng at the court of Yan, understanding the hidden depths of his heart. When were those times? They belong to the past now. Song and dance, the entertainment of emotions, naturally outshine the dullness of scholarly pursuits. Even the best of books once thoroughly read are set aside. As for being replaced by a new favorite, I don't have the fortune to be protected by the Empress Dowager like Ban Jieyu, residing in Chongqing Palace, nor do I possess Su Hui's charm to secure lasting favor from the Emperor. And she, surely, is not pressing in on me step by step like Fian. In writing this lament of the long gate, I mourn the sentiment behind Ban Jieyu's round fan. I fear the arrival of autumn, when the cool breeze takes away the heat. Isn't it time to put away the round fans of summer? Lingrong's voice has recovered so swiftly and opportunely, I cannot help but harbor suspicions. Yet what can be done? Should her prime years also fade silently like mine? The palace flowers bloom in solitude. With Mei Zhuang and me, that should be enough. Even understanding Lingrong's helplessness and sympathizing with the empresses and Xianling's loneliness and difficulties, when their laughter and joy forcibly invade my ears, I'm reminded of the child I just lost, as dear to me as life itself, and my husband's timely consolations and pity. There's no blame nor hatred, but such solitude, stirring up the grief of losing a child within my solitude, cannot be without resentment. I mock myself, realizing that I am just another lonely, aggrieved woman in this vast palace. The tip of my brush trembles and a drop of thick black ink falls directly onto the pristine paper, like a large tear. The delicate, brittle rice paper is soaked through by the dense ink, slowly spreading, just as my heart is dampened.
Follow us to avoid getting lost and enjoy endless exciting stories. For more content, please go to the Story Wall homepage to view more exciting novels.